very unnerving talking to people that look so comfortable down there, but I'll try and keep you awake. I think most of you guys get the challenge that we have to face, which is going back to in the late 1990s, an episode of Coronation Street used to deliver something like 20 million viewers. 10 years prior to that, that number was more like 28 million. And now, a good storyline will attract between 8 and 9 million. That's not a story of a program, that particular program that's lost its relevance to viewers at all. It's one of the UK's favourite TV shows, as you all know. It's just the story of the challenge that we all face on a daily basis. And it's the same if you look across any other of the big franchise programs, and even the NFL currently in the States is down 10% year on year. So for us, the kind of ability to reach big audiences watching TV collectively in a room declines year after year after year after year. It's not a criticism of this industry at all. I mean, the newspaper industry is the same. In 2006, 12.5 million people bought a newspaper every Sunday. Last year, that figure was less than 6.5 million. So you've got 6 million people suddenly changing their habits over a relatively short period of time. And this is just the same across all media channels. We have fewer poster sites than we have ever had. I could go on. So from our perspective, change isn't just something that we want to do and we choose to do, it's essential. If we kept planning and buying media in the same way that we did historically, our campaigns would simply become less effective for the advertisers. So there's a great flip side for television, that people still watch television. So we watch 3.5 hours a day. In commercial television, we still watch 2.5 hours a day. And according to ThinkBox, that's more time spent than any other media channel, and still something like 80% of viewing is live. So that's all good. The challenge really is that what we're doing when we're watching television, we're dual screening, we're multi-screening, our viewing is split across hundreds and hundreds of channels, and we've always had to contend with the BBC in the UK, and now we have people like Amazon, Netflix, etc., taking people away from commercial television environments. People talk a lot about ad blocking in digital media, but effectively the TV remote control, I think, is the original ad blocker. So how can agencies engage with viewers in this new environment that we now work in? Well, I recently chaired the Media Week Awards, which is for media agencies the biggest kind of award thing of the year. And on the night, a few things jumped out at me. The first thing I worked out afterwards was that they gave out 17 gold awards, of which 13 had television as the lead or even sole media channel. So that's some achievement from a media channel that, as I've said, is failing to deliver the big mass audiences that it used to a few years ago. There's plenty of reasons why TV still wins awards. There's reasons about looking at hundreds of econometrics. It delivers the fastest ROI for advertisers. It's the fastest way we can build coverage for audiences. And it delivers higher levels of brand recall, higher levels of brand consideration. But all of those metrics are quickly becoming the old metrics of television. And if television becomes too reliant on media planners thinking about those metrics, then those metrics, the differential advantage is going to start to erode as TV audiences erode in terms of the totality of viewing. So effective TV campaigns today need to be much more about much more than just the numbers. One of the unbelievable things, and I know Giles talked earlier about social purpose and the importance of social purpose, but more than half of the award-winning campaigns that used television had a social purpose behind it. So if you think about John Lewis and the Man on the Moon, that was a collaboration with Age UK. Sainsbury's and Mog the Cat that won a lot of awards, that was a collaboration with Save the Children and their children literacy programme. Bistow's TV ad currently encouraged us to share Sunday lunch with an elderly or lonely person. We had campaigns, things like Churchill's car insurance, who were campaigning for lollipop ladies outside schools. We read about things like Aviva Car Insurance, who had created a series of shorts about road safety. And I think that really struck me, that it's no longer appropriate for a retailer to talk about price and product. They need to have a greater purpose. It's no longer appropriate for a car insurance brand even to try and sell you a great insurance policy. They have to find better causes to attach themselves to. And I did a little bit of research on this, and there's a good Nielsen stat that 66% of people say that they would pay more for goods or services from a company that has a better social purpose. And that 66% has gone up from 55 the year before and from 50 back in 2013. So there's a massive, consumers are looking for brands that engage in this way, and a lot of TV advertisers are starting to do that. A lot of advertisers across all channels are starting to demonstrate this different way of connecting with consumers. The other trend, big trend in our industry at the minute, is content. So the old model of interrupting viewers in the middle of the TV show with a 30-second piece of communication just doesn't wash anymore, for all the reasons that we've talked about earlier and that you've heard about from the other speakers. So what advertisers are increasingly trying to do is to use their marketing budgets to create content that can be used not just on TV but across other platforms as well. One of the clients at my agency that we work with is Suzuki Cars, and Suzuki doesn't have a huge budget. They have, I think, less than 2% of the total car marketing budget in the UK. I think 14 different car brands spend more money than Suzuki. So for them, if they continue to do what they'd always done, not only would they suffer from the decrease in totality of audience that we've talked about, but they also suffer because there are other car brands that will outspend them and outshout them. So as a challenger brand, we had to come up with something different for them. Our solution was a deal with Ant and Dec, with ITV Adventures, and effectively the deal encompassed everything from talent, licensing, airtime, sponsorship. But the most important thing was it allowed Suzuki to create content that their potential car buyers were going to be interested in. I'll just play you one of the pieces of content that we got as a result of it.
Welcome to Suzuki ChatNav. SatNav you can chat with. Continue along Ferry Lane.
It's quite camp.
It's quite camp.
On your right is the site of the Battle of the Bearded Warrior. 4,000 bearded men were slain. And nicely done. You're a lovely mover.
That is quite funny. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
On your right is the Shaftesbury pub, named after Bobby Shaftesbury.
It's definitely different. Yeah.
Public transport alert.
Okay, that's weird.
Lorry alert.
Oh my god, seriously? It's like a joke. How do they know?
It's pretty mind-blowing.
Man alert.
Okay, he saw a man.
That's good.
Is that a giant scarf you're wearing, or is it a poncho? Now we've stopped.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get to know each other a little better.
Okay, Dec.
How did you know it was me?
The camp boys.
Find out more at suzuki.co.uk/cars.
So that particular piece of content was played on all of the social media channels, and there was a shortened version that went into the ad break. And what was unique about that particular partnership was that part of our negotiation with ITV was actually around using the IP of the programmes, actually using some of the sketches and things that people are used to seeing in Saturday Night Takeaway and taking that into commercial airtime. And that, for Suzuki, that not only achieved, it's not only won an award, but also helped them to sell more cars. So their sales are up 14% year on year versus a market average of only 4%. So that's not bad for a challenger brand in that market. But content isn't just about deals with, big names and long-term and multi-million-pound deals. I'll give you another example of something that we did for another client of ours, which is Ministry of Sound. Ministry of Sound had an album that was coming out called I Love Summer. It was summer anthems, as you would imagine. and armed with a media budget of less than £20,000, but a perfect match, we went and negotiated a deal with Love Island. And again, the genre of scripted reality for us is like a massive opportunity in terms of actually creating your own content. So this deal encompassed everything from product placement to content to actually providing Love Island with the soundtrack. And I'll just play you a quick excerpt of what it would look like on screen.
After the day they've had, what this lot really need is a party. I think that's how you say it.
I got a text!
He's got a text! Woo! Everyone listen, because he can't read very good.
Islanders, it's time to get your swag on, as tonight the villa will host the Ministry of Sound summer party. Woo! Hashtag heartbeats, hashtag life is a dance floor.
Woo! I'm so excited. Buzzing about that!
So Malin's in a filthy mood with Terry, and he hates dirt. But forget all that, it's time to party. Yep, that's definitely how you say it.
It was amazing, man. It was going off. The tunes were sick. The boys were on a laugh. The girls were on good form. And yeah, it just felt good to show you a bit of the Scottish special.
So that we basically turned Love Island into a 30-minute ad for an album. That album went from nowhere to #3 in the iTunes charts live while that TV programme was on. And then at the end of the series, the Love Island crew, etc., had their wrap party at guess where, Ministry of Sound, creating yet more online content, online buzz around the club and around the album. So the next theme I just wanted to talk about briefly, and I know you're hearing a lot about technology here, so I'm going to be deliberately brief. But in media planning and buying currently, there is so much more technology, so much more data, and so much more accountability than ever before. So you're probably aware of things like Sky Advance and Sky AdSmart that are allowing us to target television in a way that's never ever been opened up to agencies and brands before. And you can already kind of personalise things like VOD through Channel 4. So Coke have famously done a campaign where the end frame is a bottle of Coke with people's names on. So the whole concept of people being logged in, identifiable, but being able to be identified by behaviour and by individual is really, really, it's already there. From our perspective, we're not only, of course, talking to TV stations, we're talking constantly to digital media owners, people with pieces of tech, a lot of whom are chasing people on the second screen, actually, so the whole thing about TV syncing is becoming really interesting. So there's no question that technology is playing a greater and greater part in media planning and buying. But finally, the thing I kind of blame Gogglebox a little bit for this trend, but there is a trend currently in terms of TV communication in particular where we're actually losing a little bit of love of celebrity endorsement in a kind of cheesy, old-fashioned way, and actually now looking at the power of people talking to people. So Talk quite famously do that with their This Stuff Matters campaign. Nationwide are doing it now with Real Poets. Premier Inn have dumped Lenny Henry in favour of having real people in their ads. And we're doing a campaign currently for Iceland Foods, one of our other clients, who have finally cut their apron strings with all the celebrity endorsements that they've had over the year from Stacey Solomon, Kerry Katona, Peter Andre, and they're using real families in their TV ads. But they're also using that in a kind of offline environment. So we've done a long-term partnership with Channel Mum, where they have vloggers creating long-form content for them, just people talking to people about cooking, about frozen food, about all of these trends. We had something actually in February, which was basically vloggers' husbands making vlogs about how to do date night at home and how to cook frozen food and all this kind of stuff. It's a 4-minute piece of video content, and it achieved 60% view-through rate. So we thought actually there's something quite appealing about that. So we edited it down into a 30-second, we ran it on VOD, we then ran it subtitles so we could run it on social media channels. And just from the comments that you start to get and the levels of engagement you start to get online, you realise the power of peer recommendations for certain communications. And I think there's an increasing trend to look at real people. So the new normal for us is television is still very, very powerful and at the heart of a lot of the media planning that we do. Brands backing causes, I think, are successful and an increasing trend that we're going to see more of. It's less about big ratings, it's more about content and creating content that people choose to engage with. It's more about technology, accountability and data. And finally, in spite of all of the technology, it's still all about real people. That's me.